Mr. President, thank you very much for your leadership. As others have said, we're very appreciative of your efforts to pull us together. And may I say to all of our colleagues here, we want to express our gratitude to everybody. I think there is a spirit of determination here to get this done and to get it done well. I listened carefully to our good friend from Kenya, and he made a lot of sense, and the United States has never shied away. In fact, I think we say consistently that 20 countries equal 80% of all the emissions, and they do bear the greatest responsibility. And President Biden, from the moment he has come into office, has been determined to live up to that responsibility, beginning with his first day within an hour of being sworn in, rejoining the Paris Agreement. Let me just say that we believe that this is existential, and many of you here in one speech or another through the years has said it's existential. And for many of you, it's not existential in the future, it's existential today. People are dying today. All around the world, the impacts are being felt today. And so we have to live up to the expectation of young people who don't want this place just to be a place of words. It has to be, in the next hours, a place of action. And if it is indeed existential, then we can't just say it is, we have to behave like it is. So let me just say a few things about the cover decision, about where we are. On adaptation, we strongly support the language on adaptation, including the 2-year work plan on the global goal on adaptation. On mitigation, we are here, as I think all of you are, not because this is a pet project of one of our presidents or prime ministers or a monarch. We're here because this is what science is telling us we have to do. This is fact-based, not ideological, not political, it's fact-based. And the facts are coming at us faster and faster and bigger every day. So we're here to follow the science, and the scientists, the best scientists, the IPCC and others, tell us we have to reduce emissions by 45% in the next 10 years in order to keep 1.5 degrees alive. And if we don't do that, we not only miss 1.5 degrees, we can't do net zero 2050 unless there's some miraculous invention that sucks it all out of the atmosphere or advances us beyond where we are today, and we can't bank on that. We have to make decisions today according to the precautionary principle of governing. And that tells us that to avoid the worst consequences of the climate crisis, we have to act now. So on mitigation, we believe very deeply, based on Paris, based on all the prior COPs, that it's imperative that on mitigation, the text be preserved. It cannot get weaker. It can't go backwards from here. It includes critical references to 1.5 because of the science, revisiting NDCs because the evidence comes at us faster and faster. The science grows every single year. Of course, we need to think about what we can do better and when. And the decisive decade and phasing out unabated coal and inefficient fossil fuel subsidies must stay. That language must stay. Unabated coal. We're not talking about all. We're not talking about eliminating. We're talking about the capacity for capture, if you can do it. Unabated coal. How could we possibly in 2021, knowing what the evidence is, be wishy-washy on that subject? Those subsidies have to go. And we're the largest oil and gas producer in the world, and we have some of those subsidies. And President Biden has put in legislation to get rid of them. We are struggling each year to find money, But $2.5 trillion in the last 5 years, 6 years, went into subsidies for fossil fuel. That's a definition of insanity. We're allowing to feed the very problem we're here to try to cure. It doesn't make sense. So we cannot go back from where we are. We're strongly supportive of adaptation finance. In the spirit of compromise, we can and will go along with the approach of doubling, but we have a couple of important edits that we think make the text, in fact, stronger, more acceptable, and more effective. It doesn't make sense to limit where you can bring the money from. If you bring money, that's what we want. We want more money. And it doesn't make sense for the COP to restrict any one nation. And I know our friend Frans Timmermans has talked about this. Don't limit the pool from where we can draw the money. That doesn't make sense. We have important steps we think we can take. On loss and damage, we can support the creation of a new technical assistance facility to provide the financial assistance to operationalize the Santiago network and other key elements in the cover decision for the CMA. But the placement of language needs to be consistent with the agreements that we reached in Paris. We went through this fight in Paris. And we also very strongly support inclusion of ocean language. Turning to the rulebook issues on transparency, we've made very significant progress, but more work needs to be done. It can be, I think, fairly quickly on the technical details in a way that does not walk back from the agreements that we reached in Katowice and Paris. That doesn't make sense. So let's hold those. On Article 6, we've also seen good progress. And a lot of parties, I think, are now converging on ideas. For the U.S., we think it's critical that any package is one that has environmental integrity and a clear accounting and strong baselines, which are essential. And we think that this is captured in the current Option A language. On the baselines, we believe it's critical that it has the environmental integrity and that it is protective of human rights and indigenous peoples. And that is how we think we live up to our obligation to do what we need to do to make the world healthier, safer, cleaner, and to live up to our responsibility. Thank you.
I thank the United States for their intervention. I now give the floor to Antigua and Barbuda.